Dun 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 dun. It's showtime. Dun dun dun. At the Kurt Hollow. It's showtime. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into it. Get involved. Oh man. Man, they don't make toys like they used to. I tell you what, man. There's been a lot of crazy stuff going on. And I mean, yeah, we're going to get into it. Let's have this conversation. All right. First things first, welcome to CNN. I'm your host, Kurt Kennedy. Let's go in. On this channel, we take no part in the unfruitful works of darkness, but instead expose them. And so listen, here's the challenge with being a believer and talking about issues of culture, right? There's two challenges. One from the culture side, one from the believer side. There's more than two, but let's just simplify it for the sake of this video and say that there's two, all right? I'm going to also do something real quick. I'm going to bring you down a little bit, big boy. All right. There's two issues, right? The first issue is from the culture side. Anything you say, I don't know, I think Tupac was one of the people that made this famous. Like, only God can judge me. You know, Tupac used to say that all the time. Only God can judge me, right? And that's true on one level. But I don't know why people think God judging him will be better than a human being. But then again, I don't know. What do I know? But there's this idea from the culture side, which is a misappropriation of the biblical text about judging. So whenever you bring up something about someone's life, there's always, well, you shouldn't be judging and all of that in Christians. And to be fair, Christians do a fair amount of judging people. We judge a lot of people sinfully. And on one level, the admonition to not judge people, even though it's usually selfish ambition and misunderstanding what the Bible actually says, there is some truth. The broken clock is right twice a day, I was told. And I've actually proven it because I don't even be getting my clocks fixed like that. And they be right twice a day. Only for a minute. Only for 2 minutes a day, though. But it still ain't right, right? So there's this idea that from the culture side, if you bring things up about people's lives, you're judging them and being judgmental, as if you're not allowed to have an opinion, right? But then there's on the Christian side, the believer side, there's a challenge as well too. Because Jesus does say, judge a tree by the fruit that it bears, right? He does say that. But then he also, through the writing of Paul in 1 Corinthians 5, Paul says, look, I didn't tell you, what have I to do with judging outsiders, right? He said, God judges the outside, purge the evil from among you. So Paul is saying, look, I'm not judging unbelievers. When I say don't hang around people who are sexually immoral, I'm talking about people who profess to be believers, not people who are unbelievers. So Paul's saying, look, what do I have to do with judging the world? And I think a lot of Christians do that. I know a lot of guys who do Christian content creators, and they do a lot of that. And they say, oh, they always talking about what people in the world are doing as if they're appalled at their immorality, as if they really, on one level, here's where Christians fail in the judgment part. First of all, Jesus said, look, I didn't come to judge the world, I came to save it. When I come back, I will judge the world. He did not leave the church here to judge the world in his stead. Jesus said, I will judge the world when I come back, right? But we are not supposed to not tell the world the truth about who God is, because we know God is going to judge the world. And when that happens, it's too late, baby, when it's much too late. It's going to be a wrap. I say this to my church from time to time. I'd rather you be offended at something I said than God be offended at something you did. So if I bring a correction or warn from the pulpit and people get offended, I would rather you be offended at me than God be offended at you for something you did, right? So there is a sense, listen, God's judgment, people, I don't know what people think. I think people think God is like an immature, like childish Santa Claus, like he's Will Ferrell in Elf. And he just wants to just be loved and love you and is so glad that you, that's not who God is, fam. And when he judges, it's going to be ridiculous. And people are not going to like his conclusions. But on the believer side, there is a lot of judgment that comes from judging the world as if they're supposed to be living for God. So we treat the world like they're saved and we judge them. And Scripture says we shouldn't do that. 2 Timothy 2 makes it very clear that these people have been taken captive to do the devil's will. All right. So there's that. So whenever you make a video highlighting something in the culture that highlights the sins or the whatever of the world, it can come off anyway. Well, I don't typically do that often, but I think every once in a while you got to do that. And today we got to do that. We need to have this conversation. We got to have this one. And it's just because we got to have this conversation. All right. But first things, before we do that conversation, this episode is brought to you by the Assassination. Streaming everywhere. Go pick up this album. This is a crazy album. I guarantee, even if you say you don't like it, you haven't heard this kind of output, musical output, especially from rap, CHH, you haven't heard this before. It's streaming. If you really want to be a gangster, the links are in the description. Go buy this album from Bandcamp because that gives the most to the artist, JP and myself. But this is a very good album. I know I'm biased, but it's a good project. Go check that out. Just came out less than 2 weeks ago. And the feedback has been crazy. We get ready to drop a video, all that. The Assassination, JFK. Do not search for under Kirk Kennedy. You will not find it. It's JFK, The Assassination, featuring JP and Kirk Kennedy. All right. With that being said, let's have this conversation today or this evening. Big toy conglomerate Mattel. I've been playing with Mattel toys since I was a kid, man. I don't know to what degree, like how much of my toys were Mattel or not. But I had toys that were made by Mattel. I used to go to Toys R Us and I just grabbed, I don't know who made them. But Mattel is a big time toy manufacturer, all right? I didn't even know they were still around because I got 3 teenage boys and they ain't playing with Mattel toys at this point in time. All right, but Mattel releases action figures. You know how when a movie's coming out, whoever has the rights to make these toys will make action figures for that movie, all right? And Mattel releases an action figure from a movie called Wicked, all right? This movie Wicked will be dropping on November 22nd of this year, this month, in a couple weeks. And this movie stars Cynthia Erivo, most popularly Ariana Grande, Jeff Goldblum. And what this movie is, it's a prequel to The Wizard of Oz. So a lot of us grew up with The Wizard of Oz, Dorothy, and all that stuff, right? But if you're black, you grew up on The Wiz, too, with Michael Jackson and them, right? Don't you tell me nothing that might be alone. Come on, ease on down the road. So we came from The Wiz. We had to have our own New York City subway, all black joint. But most of us know about The Wizard of Oz. Well, this movie, Wicked, is the prequel to The Wizard of Oz. It's the story before Dorothy and them came to Oz, right? It gives you some background of what happened. I've watched the trailer or two. I don't got me going to see it for maybe obvious reasons by the end of this video. All right. And maybe because I don't know, my kids wouldn't be into that and I'm not going to watch it from what I know. All right. But here's the thing. So Mattel releases this thing and let's just watch this is like 50 seconds. Let's watch a brief news clip on this thing so you can just see what I'm talking about. I want you to hear what someone else is saying about this and then we'll talk about it. We'll get it in. All right.
This Wicked Witch.
Yeah, there's a lot of buzz and anticipation around the Wicked movie adaptation coming out next week. But today, Mattel is issuing an apology. The toy maker mistakenly printed the website to a pornographic site on the package of its new Wicked dolls instead of its official webpage. Mattel says they deeply regret the mistake and are taking steps to fix that issue.
All right. So here's what happened. So Mattel has an action figure, a doll of the one I saw was of Glinda. Glinda's the good. If you remember Glinda, the wicked, the good. I think she's the good witch of the East or something like that. Glinda was Ariana Grande plays Glinda in the movie. And they have an action figure of a doll that doesn't look like her, but if you know that's her, then you think, oh, okay, she does look like her a little bit. And what happens is when you flip the doll over, there's a website on the back that's supposed to draw you to the actual movie. But what it does is it takes you to a pornography site, a graphic joint. Now, I didn't go look at it, but I watched some news media on it, and someone clicked on the link and kind of blurred out the stuff. I don't feel like doing all that because I go live. I don't feel like doing the blurring the stuff out. I'm live. I'm not going to show it. But it showed a picture of this, and people are outraged. All right, they're outraged. So when you get the toy, what will happen is you open it up, and then you turn it over, and on the back it'll have a little bit of information. I think it has a QC code, right? And then right underneath that is a website. And if you go to that website, if your kids have a cell phone or something of that nature, and they go to this website, they will be inducted into pornography. All right. They will see it right away. There's no like warning sign from what people have said. No warning sign. People are outraged, and Mattel has issued an apology. They've issued an apology saying this. I could be wrong. I haven't heard that they're recalling the toys, but I would imagine they would, but I haven't heard they're recalling the toys and going to issue. Maybe they're hoping that the apology and the warning will be enough. I don't know. Maybe they have recalled it, but on the back of the toy, they put a website that links to a pornography site. And this is a doll that many kids are going to get. And it's a doll of a girl, so I would imagine that most of them will be girls who get these, young girls, or sadly in this day and age, boys who identify as a girl. They're going to get it, right? And this is where we're at. And so there's outrage. Here's the thing. This is not, I don't know if Mattel did this on purpose. Because the website is similar to the movie title and all of that stuff. And it's possible that it was an oversight. It's possible. But I also, I don't know if they did it on purpose. Okay, let me say that again. Let me say this also. We live in a world where the scripture, 2 Corinthians 4, says that Satan is the god of this world. We understand that. We understand that people, that he'll use even the mean accidents. He'll blind people to all of that stuff. So maybe Mattel, whoever put that on there, who was responsible for that, maybe they just weren't hip and weren't. But I think the enemy was hip. I don't think that stuff happens for no reason. I think the enemy was hip and had that put on there, and someone caught it. Good for them. And then Mattel has apologized, and people are outraged. Now, maybe I'm not outraged because my kids are not small. All right. Maybe I'm not outraged because my kids are not small, but I am concerned, but I'm also actually encouraged. And let me tell you why. And this is going to get to really the main reason what I think. And again, I'm a Christian. I'm a pastor. I'm flawed, but I'm not faking. I genuinely love the Lord, and I'm trying to honor the Lord, and I have weaknesses throughout the wazoo, but I'm not just sitting around wallowing in those weaknesses or pretending like grace is so amazing that I don't have to pursue the Lord and can just wait to be forgiven. No, I take seriously the commands to walk, in a manner worthy of the calling, acknowledging that there are going to be some areas in my life that will require more. When you got to take up your cross, there are some areas where that cross is going to feel a lot heavier, and when you might need a Simon of Cyrene like Jesus did to help you carry that cross. But I take it seriously. But I'm flawed, but I'm not faking. Having said that, I do look at things. A few years ago, when all this stuff happened in the evangelical church, all the race and politics stuff, I realized that I believed in a doctrine called God's sovereign. I believed in this doctrinal truth that I think the Bible, wherever you are doctrinally, right? Whether you're reformed or not, whatever it is, there's some word, sovereignty represents that word best, but sometimes that word is attributed to a theological conceptual framework that people don't like, okay? But I believe, and most Christians believe, that God is sovereign and in control. I'm putting my thumb up because my thing is to get, the enemy wants me to get blurred out. He doesn't want you to see my face. But I believe in this thing that God is sovereign. That means he's in control of these things, even if they don't make sense to me, and even if wild things happen. I believe that God's sovereign, all right? With that being said, I think that, especially now, with the rise of the occult and all these different things, man, I got so much content that's getting ready to come you guys' way. I've been chilling for a minute because of the election, but I got so much content that's about to come your way. So I'm trying to be careful because I don't want to say too much, and because I got content that's coming. But as a believer, with the rise of the occult and all these things happening, you know, if there was a time where if the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world that he doesn't exist, man, he's not doing that now. That man was out and about. He's on the beach with suntan lotion on, talking to girls. I mean, he's doing his thing, right? But with the rise of all these things, I think every believer, and I mean this, and maybe you do this, every believer needs to start processing things through the sovereignty of God, or you're going to lose your mind. You have to look at these things as, what is God doing? God's in control. What is he revealing? And when this happened to me with the race and politics stuff in the evangelical church, which I've already covered that in the previous, in fact, my last video on why Kamala Harris lost. I gave a semi-thorough background of what happened in the evangelical church the last 12 years, last 10 years, from 2014. Watch that video, because I'm not going to repeat all that right now. But I think every Christian needs to start thinking, okay, and I use this verse all the time. I use this verse faithfully. What I post at the beginning of every show: take no part in the unfruitful works of darkness, but instead expose them. I don't think God is commanding us to do that, and he's not doing that, right? That's clear. 1 Timothy 5. Some men's sins go before them before the judgment, but others will be revealed in due time. What you do in the dark will be revealed from the rooftops, right? God is a God of exposure because he's a God of light, and light always shines on the darkness, okay? So I think every believer needs to be thinking and processing things through the sovereignty of God, all right? And with that being the case, when I heard about this particular situation of this pornographic website on the back of a doll for a movie, it's a kid's doll of the witch Glinda from Oz. Wicked is a prequel to the movie Oz, to the Wizard of Oz. When I saw this on the back of the website, and it was a pornographic website that is on, I don't know how many toys they have out there, hundreds of thousands, maybe millions, I don't know. The movie comes out next week. When I saw this, I thought, man, Lord, what's going on here? And then I smiled. Not in a self-righteous, judgmental way, but I smiled at what I think the Lord is doing. Now, I'm not one of those people that profess to be a prophet. I'm a pastor. I'm a Christian. The Lord I do not wake up and he says, hello, my son. Read this today, my son. And go on YouTube and make a video about this today. People be acting like God just be talking to them like I'm talking to you. I don't understand. I don't get it. Don't got no use for the Bible or nothing. I got a word from the Lord. Is it from the word? Nah, but that's a different conversation, right? So I'm not professing to be a prophet, but I smiled because I want to share with you what I think the Lord is doing, all right? The movie is called Wicked, and the Lord does this all over. I mean, this happens all over the place, right? This happens all over the place. I think the Lord because he's sovereign, even the names, titles, and different things that people use, God's in control of. I believe this, right? I see this all the time. Like, I honestly think that, like, I'll just give you an example just so you can follow what I'm about to say. I think the whole gay pride movement with the rainbow as its primary symbol, I think God is sovereign over what people do. The irony of that, it's an irony, is that the rainbow in the scriptures represents God's wrath and a reminder to not execute his wrath on humanity through the flood of water, right? That's what he promised Noah. I will not destroy the world again. And the rainbow, is supposed to represent an upside down bow, like a bow and arrow, weapon of war that reminds God not to destroy the world. Now, I don't think God doesn't need a reminder from some rainbows, that But it's a reminder, right? It's a reminder of the wrath of God and not to act on it. And then it's called pride, right? Well, the irony of that is pride is going to incur the wrath of God. And the movement connects both a pride that's sinful, the activity of the group is sinful, and its main logo is actually the judgment of God being withheld. So God's grace and judgment is being withheld but at some point that bow is going to turn from upside down back into a bow of God's judgment. I believe that, right? I just think that's just the irony. That's how God does it. I think there are people, you've heard me say this before, I think there are people who sing Christmas carols every time. They do not believe in Jesus. They reject the gospel. They don't want to go to church. They may go on Christmas or Easter based on some sort of belief that will somehow make them a believer, or they do it for family members, but they don't believe. But yet they sing these Christmas carols. Silent night, holy night. Oh, some of these Christmas carols are preaching the gospel. And they sing them every time, right after Thanksgiving. They turn on Christmas music every day. They love it. You got the sleigh bells ring. Are you listening? And they got them Christmas songs, but then they got others that are really preaching the gospel. And these people reject Jesus, but yet they sing the gospel all the time. And God's going to say to them, you preached the gospel. You sang the gospel to yourself every year, and you rejected it. The irony of that, right? That's how I think. I look at, in God's sovereignty, I think, man, Lord, you are crazy in that way. Like, just stuff like that happens, right? So here's what happens. Mattel releases a doll. On the front of the doll, it has the words wicked, right? It has the words wicked as indicating what the doll is from. It's of Glinda, who Ariana Grande, the singer and former actress, she's acted before. I never watched her shows. I think she was on Disney Channel. She had like a show for a while on one of those. And then she became a singer, and now she's known as a singer and all this. And then back to kind of acting. So she's kind of has her hands in both of those bags, right? So the movie, the only doll that I saw was Glinda. It's Wicked. And on the back is a website that leads you to a pornographic site. So if your child goes and looks at that, bam. And if you're one of those parents who let the technology raise their children, then you might not even know your kid's seeing this stuff, and they're just watching it. And they think that a movie, that the doll that they got is leading them to that, and you have no idea what the lasting damaging impact can be. It's a really crazy scheme of the devil. But in God's kindness and in his humor, in his sovereignty, which can sometimes be ironic, here's what made me smile when I thought about, man, Lord, what are you doing? One, it got caught, it got flagged, which was good. I don't know how many kids went to the website who bought the doll. I don't know, but it got flagged, and so it's out there, right? It's out there enough that Mattel has to apologize. And I think that's actually, well, that's obvious. Oh, that's good. That's God's common grace. That's obvious. But there's something more deeper than that going on here. This is what I think is happening. So, first of all, Ariana Grande is the character of Glinda, in which, at least the what I saw was that was the doll that everyone was using to say on the back of the doll was that, right? No shade to Ariana Grande. She's not a Christian. She's made that very clear. But in the last 2 years, she has been under fire. I'm talking about from the world, not even from Christians, just from the world. She has been under fire for dating someone who she met on the set of the movie Wicked, who was a married man. So let me just show you this to show you what I mean by this. All right. So Ariana Grande, she meets Ethan Slater. They met while filming the movie adaptation of Wicked in late 2022, early 2023. All right. So less than 2 years ago, they met. All right. In July 2023, it was reported that Ariana Grande and Slater had begun dating. Right. All right. So they had begun dating in July. At the time, Ariana Grande had recently separated from her husband, Dalton Gomez, in January 2023. They later filed for divorce in September. So I know in the world, they just do that. They'll move on, even though they're still legally married or covenantally married, if you're a believer. They'll just move on. They think once we're done, we're done. All right? Then it says Slater was was married to Lily J, his high school sweetheart, and they had welcomed a baby in 2022. All right? So that's the same year he started working with Ariana Grande on the movie. So he had a baby with his high school sweetheart in 2022. It says sources emphasize that Grande and Slater only began dating after they had both separated from their spouses. Now, a lot of people said that he left his spouse to be with her. Don't know. I wasn't there. This is just what was put out there. This was well before I even knew what they were talking about. Because I don't follow these people, and I was like, what? Wicked. It says in late July 2023, Slater filed for divorce from his wife, Lily J. So keep in mind that he had a baby with his wife in July of 2022. Yeah, they welcomed the baby in 2022. In 2023, he's filing for divorce from his wife in late July. And this is after he started dating Ariana Grande. So it says that in July, it was reported that they had begun dating. So they date in July. Within a couple of weeks, before the month is over, he files for divorce from her. And then it says, Grande and Slater's relationship progressed quickly. By October 2023, they were reportedly living together in New York. Woo, 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 woo. All right. So I hadn't thought about any of this. I don't think about Ariana Grande or anything. But when this all happened with the Wicked doll, when this all happened with that, I started thinking like, wow, that's crazy. That the movie is called Wicked. The doll is Glinda, right? The website takes you to Wicked sexual immorality, right? And then Ariana Grande, at the time, when her connection to the movie and to, as we just read, and these are all like facts that you can check. Her connection to the movie is dating a man who was married. She was still married at the time too, dating them. And then he files for divorce, and now they're still together. So they meet on a movie called Wicked. I don't know the situations of their divorces. They're not Christians, so I don't think they care about what the Bible says about that. But their relationship, I think, would be biblically wicked based on what the Bible teaches us. Now, we know non-Christians don't care about that, but we don't take our cues from what they care about. We take our cues from what God cares about. So even if you don't follow him, we still at least understand on some level that these are things that would be sinful to him. Even though we know that, hey, listen, I'm not judging you. I'm not holding you to accountable because you're not a Christian. And I understand what the Bible says about non-Christians. However, though, it is what it is, right? You judge a tree by the fruit that it bears. I do this all the time. Like I do this game. I don't do this as much now, but I used to do this game with my kids and my friends called the discernment game, right? I still do this with my boys every so often. I'm actually going to bring this game back more often. Let me tell you what the discernment game is. What we would do is like, say we would be watching a movie or we're watching TV and a commercial comes on. And after the commercial, I would be like, hey, sons, did you see that commercial? Yeah. What do you think biblically was wrong with that commercial? So let me give you an example, right? There's a commercial on right now where it shows a mother is in the kitchen and she hears her two daughters giving their dad a birthday present. Here's your birthday. And she makes a face and it's clear she forgot it was his birthday, right? Then it flashes to his daughters and him sitting on the couch opening up a present. And then he pulls out, I think like a hammer or something with his initials on it. And then it flashes back to the mom and she's on her iPhone trying to figure something out, right? Then it flashes back to the parent, to the dad with his daughters. And then the mom walks up and says, here's what I got you for your birthday. And he presses play, and it's basically like a musical photo album showing his daughters when they were little. And he looks up at his wife like thank you so much, babe. And then she turns around and walks away with this smirk, like, yeah. And then it's to highlight Apple intelligence, right? So if I were playing the discernment game, I'd be like, boys, okay, what just happened there? What would the Bible say about that? And my boys would be like, well, basically, she lied and pretended like she thought about him and got him a gift and then manipulated him. So she lied. It was selfish ambition and she's arrogant about it, proud about it. And I was like, that's right, boys. Now it may sound like, oh, you're being, but that's how we try to grow in discernment. We play the discernment game. So we would do that. And that's what I would say. Like, man, they're making lying look fun. Like you should do this. Like, hey, and your iPhone can help you lie. Even though that's not the marketing message, the underlying God of this world message is very much that. Like this woman could have said, I'm sorry, I forgot to give you a gift. But here, she made it seem like this is the one I had for you all the time, right? That's the type of stuff that I used to do with my sons and my friends, right? So I do this a lot. So I'm still doing that, the discernment game. And when I look at the sovereignty of God, which I think every believer needs to process things through that, I think, man, Lord, how crazy are you? I'll talk about that, like, Lord, you are crazy. This is wild. That Ariana Grande, who I think's life is wicked from God's perspective, who gets with a married man, which would be wicked, on a movie set called Wicked, who eventually, as the movie's coming out, has her doll, Glenda, right, as one of the main dolls that they are selling with the words Wicked on it. And then on the back is a website that if you click on that will take you to wicked sexual immorality. You cannot make this stuff up. So I smiled because I thought, wow, Lord, you're putting it out there that this is wicked, pun intended, that this is evil, wicked. And I just thought, the Lord does it. I mean, he does this a lot through the Bible. This is a lot. I'm not going to get into that right now. But man, does he do a lot of crazy stuff in the Bible like this. Just crazy stuff. Like what we call irony is just God's sovereignty playing itself out. So I think every believer, sometimes we overreact to things. I think we just be like, okay, Lord, what are you doing? You're sovereign. You're in control. You're sovereign. What are you doing? I just gave you some thoughts about Trump winning and Kamala not winning, and what does that mean? I'm not the Lord, but I still get perspective and I qualify it. I'm shooting from half court. We'll find out when I get to heaven. I'll find out if I made it or not. But there's still perspective we have to have. I just think it's sovereignly ironic that their relationship was wicked, that the movie's called Wicked. Her doll is the main one being sold with the Wicked on the top, and you flip go over and look at the website, and it's Wicked, and then you go to the actual place. If you click on the link, if you type in the link, then you see nothing but Wicked. And ironically, and I'm saying ironically as a pun intended, it's really sovereignly. If you go on that website, which no one should go there, but let's say you go there, you're going to see sexual immorality, which was how her relationship with this guy who was a married man was sexual immorality. You can't make this stuff up. You can't make it up. And I think God just subtly puts things out there so if nothing else, his people, his children can be like, look at that. So I think because there's so much going on in the world, if I don't believe that God is sovereign, then there's not going to be much hope, because this is a crazy time. Even though many people profess to believe, but they don't. So anyway, all that being said, if you've heard this story, I need to pray for, these people, because I haven't. Sometimes it's easier to highlight just sort of this stuff than really just buckle down and pray for them. So I will be faithful to do that when I finish this live stream. I just thought it's interesting. And I love this about God's sovereignty. And I'm going to show you this in future content, different ways in the Bible where it's just like, golly, wow, the Lord is doing, like, it's just crazy how the Lord is doing this. Like, he's just so, this is what I tell my church all the time. God is intentional. Every detail matters, some more than others. I think it's the same thing in the culture. God's intentional. Every detail matters, some more than others. I just thought it's very wild that Ariana Grande meets a married man on the set of a movie called Wicked. Their relationship is wicked and it's sexually immoral, right, together. Then as the movie's coming out, Mattel Toys has the rights to put out dolls connected to the movie, which will say Wicked on the front, and the doll Glenda, which is Ariana Grande's character in the movie. When you flip it over, it takes you to a website that is wicked and it's sexually immoral, and the doll is Ariana Grande's character who was sexually immoral and being wicked with a married man that she met on the site of a movie called Wicked, and they're still together. Wicked. The Lord is wild, and I love him, and I'm glad that he lets us see these things. So if you never heard of the discernment game, if you got small kids, practice it with your kids. Practice it. We used to do it a lot more. I'm going to bring it back a little bit more, because it's just good to be like, hey, because the underlying messages of the world, I remember we used to do this. There was a period where, remember when Axe deodorant spray was like really popping? It was like 4 or 5 years ago, maybe even longer. I remember it was like basically if you use this deodorant, women will be all over you. And I remember being like, all right, boys, what's wrong with this? What is it? And we talked about it. Yeah, it's just basically promoting sexual immorality through a brand. And it sounds like, oh, you're just being too much. You don't got to do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. But we did it because I wanted my kids to be able to distinguish. I'm a Hebrews 5:14 man. Practice distinguishing between good and evil. So I even though there are things that just catch me off guard sometimes, I trust the Lord. I trust His sovereignty. This is crazy. His sovereignty is too real to me. I believe in providence, not coincidence. And so I'm not going to see this movie, but I hope that many people find out about it, because here's I'm sorry, I forgot one more layer. The enemy, Satan, is wicked, right? And his scheme is, and imagine how many people could be drawn into this world of pornography just by going on a website that's supposed to be safe, or from a kid's doll that's promoted. So Satan is the ultimate wicked, right? And then he's trying to make people live in wickedness. And so it's just too sovereign. God is just a gangster when it comes to that stuff. So I hope that it exposes it. I'm glad some people are outraged about it, but I hope people step their game up. This was not, I didn't want to go in this video about why I think this was not an accident, because I don't know that. And I don't want to be, but I don't think it was an accident. I think primarily because the sexualization of children has been steadily approaching. I mean, if we wanted to, I mean, we could, all right, 3 minutes, start the clock, 3 minutes. We can go back to from hearing about what happened to kids who were in Hollywood like in the 80s. I've talked in the recent videos about the Corey Haim and Corey Feldman, 2 actors in the 80s who had said that they were, sexually assaulted as kids with grown men in these shows and movies, right? Then you have, remember there was there was a little girl's name. There was like these kids pageants where these little girls would be dressed up. Remember, John Benet Ramsey? She would be in those competitions, and sort of blonde, and these girls are wearing makeup and all that stuff, and they're kids, and there would be these competitions. And there was this really popular chubby girl that got popular. Her mom used to be, I forgot her name. But like that was a big thing. It was this sexualization of these children. And then Netflix had this documentary showing, or this show showing how these children they had these young girls that were like 11 and 12. I didn't watch it, but I remember it was all the hearing about it, all the sexualization. And then remember the girl she's now like 21, but the girl from Stranger Things, who was, what's her name, 11 on the show, Bobby, she was, when she was like 13, they had her as like the most sexiest woman on one of these. I remember it was a cover of a magazine, and people were like, what are you doing? She's like 14. Why are you putting her in a magazine called? We've seen this sex. You see also that people who are attracted to children exclusively are trying to not see it as a sin issue or more of a mental health issue, but more of an orientation issue, where you see this happening. So the sexualization of children, you see happening more and more and more. And as kids have access to technology, and oftentimes parents just trust technology, because in many ways, just to be honest, for many parents, technology, cell phones, iPads has become a babysitter, because we've lost the patience to really be able to spend time with our children and to deal with it. We just get out of my face, and you go on your technology and you just hope against hope. And then a lot of kids end up struggling and addicted to the very website that was on the back of that. So this idea is all happening. So maybe it was an accident by Mattel, but it wasn't an accident by Satan. This is all happening. And I promise you, within the next 7 years, we're going to be, I mean, we see this, right? You see stuff like, even though it's legal, you still see like a Bill Belichick, 72 years old, dating a 24-year-old. I mean, Diddy's most of these sex tapes, these freak off tapes about Diddy, some of them are of minors. Like all this stuff is just coming out and people are still a little bit outraged. But the more we do these things, the more we treat these kids, the more we let children determine their gender and sexuality. We won't let them, you can't drive, you can't drink, you can't vote, but you can determine your sex. The more we do that, it's just going to be, so to me, the sexualization of the adolescents in our society is not an accident. It's the enemy who is ushering this in. So whether Mattel did it on purpose or not, the enemy is using this to have people live lives of wickedness, ironically from a movie called Wicked. But what do I know? What do I know? I don't know what I'm talking about. Let's go to the tape. Ooh, it's a lot of drama in here. God will judge him. And he will. 100%, Steve. 100%. Yo, brother Kurt Katie, what's up? What's good, baby? Casey, what's good? Let's do it. Grace and peace, family. Let's get it. Lyrically outspoken. We'll do. LOL, you won't. Whoa, JFK has some serious marketing coin behind that work if they are advertising here. We got to be, baby. Go get that album. That album is no joke. Uh-oh, Back to the Future Bull guy. I don't know what that means. I just discovered The Wiz not that long ago. That joint was tough. That movie was tough, The Wiz. I liked it. November 22nd, I'll be going to catch Gladiator 2. You plan on seeing it? I don't know, man. I don't know. It looks kind of cheesy to me. I might, though. I might. It looks kind of, I don't know. The first Gladiator was tough. I don't know, man. Maybe I just think, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, I saw that commercial. It didn't interest me a bit. Yeah, one set. Heck no, bro. 100%. Poor kiddos, 100%. Pornhub. Yeah, that wasn't the actual site that it goes to. Or maybe it is. I don't know. I just know when you type in the website. Now, the website, you wouldn't know what it is until you type it in. Because it doesn't say porn in the website. Kids saw the website. That's how it got exposed. Parents I think some parents went on the website for their kids and all of that came out. So that's pretty crazy. Blessings and hello to everyone. Considering how perverse this generation is, it wouldn't surprise me if this was intentional. I could be wrong. This is my humble, cynical opinion. Yeah, I wouldn't. I think it's. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's intentional. I just don't want to say it is. I want to be careful because I don't want to be. But I know the enemy is intentional, so I'll say that it was intentional for him. You know what I'm saying? But I don't want to say that it was for them. Having said that, a word from our sponsor, The Assassination, JFK, streaming everywhere. Go get this album. You got to look for The Assassination, JFK. You will not regret it. Pick this up, play it. As a matter of fact, if you do not like the project, I will give you back however much money you spent to get it. So if you streamed it, that means you spent like 2 cents. But you won't dislike it. I promise you. All right. How is Mattel a big brand? Mattel has been a big toy brand for a long time. I don't know how. That's beyond the scope of this video. But Mattel is a big brand, bro. It's been a big brand since I was a kid. The toy company has been forced to pull its line of character dolls after them. Okay, good. That's good to know. I thought that's what I heard, but I wasn't sure. But that's good to know, man. I appreciate that. Amen, Kurt. Thank you, Casey. Yolanda, how are you? All right. This is just the world being its sinful self, but we are called to overcome evil with good. Darkness has no power of the light. Well said. Yeah, Yolanda. And ironically, and now see, listen to God's sovereignty. Yolanda's comment is, oh my, talking about a movie called Wicked that's the prequel to The Wizard of Oz. And The Wizard of Oz said lions and tigers and bears. Oh my. See, the Lord is sovereign. He be on his game. I'm telling you. Facts. I had that same convo with a friend before. That's what's up. Alyssa Renee, I love the parenting nuggets you drop throughout your videos. I've been using some of them with my boys. 100%. How many? Tell me how many boys you got, Alyssa. I got 3. I love it. I love it. They getting older too. I remember when I was their best friend. When I used to pull up, they'd be like, Poppy, they couldn't wait to do something with me. Now they got all their friends. They playing Fortnite. They don't even care, man. No, but I love it though. I love it. Tell me how old your boys are. What age with your kids did you start the discernment game? I'm definitely going to do that with my kids too as they get older. They're probably too young currently. I probably started when my oldest son was like, so my boys are right now 16, 15, and 13. So I probably started when my oldest son was around 7. So 7, 6, and 3 is probably when I started doing that. Now they were terrible at it back then. It wasn't until like 10, 9, and 7 that they started to click and they could kind of figure things out. So, but it wasn't about, I didn't do things because they were ready for it. I wanted to prepare their minds to start thinking that way. So I didn't wait until I knew that they would get the right answers. I started when they wouldn't. I wanted them thinking about it for a second. So sometimes I'd have to describe in detail. All right, was she telling the truth when she said that to her husband? No, okay, what is that? What is that called in the Bible? Lying. Good job, boys, good job. So is she sad about lying? Did you remember the look on her face? Was she sad? No, what did she look like? She was smiling. Right, so she's not sad about her sin, right? Right. Is that how we're supposed to be? No. Boom, that's how I would walk them through it. And then now when we do it, my kids are shocked. I'm like, all right, boys, discernment game. Let's look at that scene right now. What just happened in that scene? And then they can start putting it together and they get it. So, and I'm grateful. I don't know how the Lord uses it, but there are things that my kids just don't do. They go to public school. All my kids are in public school. The only home the school that they get at home is from their dad. I be schooling them, but they're not homeschooled in the sense like that. Public school, but they sharp though. They hit on some things. True, if you're not teaching them, someone else will. 100%, bro. 100%. Hit the like button for me. That's right. I don't know what's going on in that. Like and subscribe to the channel. I'm gonna tell you what, man. They be carrying me on this channel, man, on YouTube, man. Sometimes I get love, but sometimes, man, they definitely, man, don't give me that love, man. Like and subscribe to the channel. Dudes' channels be growing fast now. Their content be weird, like a beauty pageant. 100%. 100%. There you go. Toddlers and Tears, whatever. Yeah, man. Tiaras. Toddlers and Tears. I mean, they were doing shows like that, showing moms making. I remember watching. I never watched the show, but I remember watching like a trailer for it. This mom was yelling at her daughter, who said her feet hurt because she didn't want to walk in high heels. She was a kid, fam. Maybe she was 5 years old. Had so much makeup on. If she sneezed, it would have messed the ozone layer up. And they're mad. They're like, want their kids to be, for what? Because they want to make money off of their children. There's no way that little Honey Boo Boo. Remember that girl? That's right. I think it was, yeah, Vanjie, you said it. Honey Boo Boo. That little girl, she was the one that really blew it up for me. She was this chubby little girl. Her mom was, and it was always, and I couldn't believe it. It was that little girl, Honey Boo Boo. It was all, you just saw how evil this stuff is. I just couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, this is crazy. So I definitely have to support Denzel. I didn't see the first one, but I will have to find in one of my many streaming platforms. What's up? Yeah, Denzel is that dude, right? I mean, how did this happen when Mattel is? Oh, okay, yeah. You know what? So think about this for a second. They probably have a mechanism in which they do things, and someone just dropped the ball. And honestly, I don't want to say what the website is, because I don't want anyone to be like, oh, well, he said it on it, and I went and looked. But I can see how you would put that website up thinking that it connects to the movie, and it just connects to something else. So I could see that possibly, but even still, what a terrible oversight, right? All right, 2 boys, 3 and 5. That's what's up. Okay. Yeah, I got 3. I remember when my boys was young, though. It was fun. Those are fun times. Rich, word, thanks, and dope, impactful nuggets. Man, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate y'all. Grace and peace, man. I'm getting ready to go get ready for some Monday Night Football. A couple of the homies coming through. This ain't even a big game, but we just like to connect with the homies. So, no quality control, huh? I hear you, Lana. That's what's up. Man, I appreciate y'all, man. But listen, I got some content coming up. I just was waiting until we got past the election because everything is still about that. So we're just a couple of more days and all of that, man. So, bro, is the album on iTunes or just, it's everywhere. It's on iTunes, Bandcamp, Amazon. It should be on Tidal now, all Spotify. I mean, if you wanted to give the artist the most money, it's on Bandcamp. And there'll be a link in the description for that. But in terms of hearing the album, go anywhere you get music, Spotify, anywhere. But go to don't look for Kirk Kennedy. My name's on the front album, but go to JFK, The Assassination, and that joint will show up. Here's the front cover, so you know what it is. Boom. You type in wherever you get music from. You type in The Assassination, JFK, you will see this album pull up, and you will not regret it. I guarantee. People have been hitting me from all over the country like, bro, this album's a banger, and I appreciate that. So thank you for that. Yeah, Spotify's there. Rich, bap, wap, 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 wap. Thank you, brother. Every time, man, you come through. Appreciate you, fam. Appreciate you. I will have some more content tonight, but I got a couple of homies. We're gonna watch the game. So, but I'm getting ready to come back with some content that's gonna be good for those of you who like the kind of content that I bring. Obviously, when I look at my YouTube, my Instagram, my Twitter, or all of it, YouTube, it's just everyone's still about the election and all that stuff. It's getting boring. So I was like, all right, I'll try to look for videos that might inspire me to make a video. And I thought, all right, I just got to do me. So I'm going to be doing that. But I appreciate y'all. Thank you so much. Like and subscribe to the channel. Go get JFK. Listen to it, stream it, and then buy it. That's what you do. If you don't want to buy, stream it first and I'll earn your money. I'll earn your $9 or $10 when you know good and well you spend more than that on some fast foods. You can go to Starbucks and get you a Mocha Choco, and it costs more than that. All right? Appreciate y'all. Grace and peace, man. Kennedy, the underdog. We out of here.